After years of being brainwashed by the multi-billion-dollar weight loss industry, which spends tons of money on marketing trying to convince us that we need to fix our bodies, strive to be thinner, thicker, bootylicious, toned, and so forth, why not just reject diet culture this year and make this an anti-diet year? Don't know what that means? Well, I sat down with Health at Every Size dietitian Gail Lando, who promotes weight inclusivity, believes in mindful eating, and ditching the scale. I also spoke to self-proclaimed diet dropout and body-positive activist Megan Richards about what it means to be anti-diet. Have a listen.
In order to understand anti-diet culture, we first need to know what is diet culture or a diet approach. I would say the main feature of diet culture and a diet approach is the assumption or the belief that your health is determined by a number on a scale.
Within diet culture, they usually worship thinness, and diet culture also equates thinness to being healthy, and there's also this, this moral virtue that comes with being thin.
A diet approach would involve prescriptive eating. There would be a discussion in terms of what, when, and how much to eat, and then diet culture generally relies on a lot of external measures in order to reinforce the diet approach and diet mentality. So it would ordinarily involve monitoring or measuring, maybe weighing a person on a scale, or telling them to count calories. If we talk about what would a non-diet approach look like, the first thing is that we embrace concepts that have been introduced to the world through movements like Health at Every Size, advocacy movements that embrace the concept of health outside of the realm of a number on the scale. So the first aspect of a non-diet approach is that of embracing weight inclusivity, because in nature things come in different shapes, size, and forms.
You must always remember that it's really not an attack on any individual. It doesn't attack what you're eating or your specific lifestyle, but it just promotes overall well-being than the shape or the size of your body.
A non-diet approach also takes into account other factors that contribute towards health behavior. So often in a diet approach, people are made to feel guilty or ashamed, or that it's their fault that their body type is the way it is, whereas in a non-diet approach we need to consider that there are many factors that contribute. So we need to be more sensitive and respectful and consider things like socioeconomic status and access to healthcare as factors. We also really advocate eating for well-being versus looking at eat this and don't eat this, and demonizing food.
Being a diet dropout or body positive activist, it means that I eat intuitively, so I listen to my body and what it needs. I participate in things like joyful movement, and that's taken a lot of work because I've had to find things that movement or any form of movement that really works for my body, because we can't all be in the gym, we can't all be jogging. And I feel like you actually find sustainable forms of movement if you're doing something that you genuinely love. I'm gonna be honest and say that it's not easy, because we are a small community, and sometimes you just can't ignore diet culture. It's all around, and the more you learn about it, the more you become aware of how often we have to encounter things like oppressive beliefs, language, and all of that. So I think if you're wanting to start, it's very important to evaluate where you are in your own journey. And I can't really say, go and see a body coach or go and see a body therapist, because maybe your condition is not that bad. But I think the first thing to do is just to evaluate where you are.
Recognize why you just can't go on another diet, like psychologically, because we know dieting brings a lot of psychological consequences as well as physical consequences. So where to start is having a huge amount of self-compassion, and that we get from mindfulness, because we have to reflect back that the journey hasn't been easy, and that there have been times in your journey where dieting may have served you, where it might have got you through times of trauma or safety, or gave you a sense of containment. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge that the act of dieting and restriction and deprivation is, in a sense, also a form of trauma on the body.
If you want to understand some of the myths and how beauty images are used against women, this is a really cool book to read. It's called The Beauty Myth by Naomi Wolf. If you're trying to understand the body positive movement, Meg Crab, she used to focus a lot on body positivity, but these days she's shifted her focus a little bit, but her book is still amazing. And the one that I just mentioned previously, very, very, very good book by Dr. Sabrina Stings. It's called Fear in the Black Body. And then one of my favorite activists in the anti-diet culture movement is Christy Harrison. She just released a new book now. I don't remember the name, but this is her first book. It's called Anti-Diet, and it's basically about reclaiming your time, your money, and your happiness through intuitive eating. So really amazing book.
The Kite Sisters, who speak also, I think that's a fabulous book, just in terms of, embracing the body, that your body isn't an object, it's not an ornament. So the Alexi Kite, their book is fabulous. The intuitive eating book is worth reading. So where to start is sometimes just through exploring the health at every size and body positivity.
I'm just going to mention a couple of my favorite activists. You can go and check out their pages if you are, wanting to see what this movement is all about. I love this woman. She's a fitness instructor. Her name is Meg Boggs. So go and check her out. I also like Simone Maraposa, Jessamine Stanley.
I would say the pros are that, first of all, from a counselling point of view, it's far more enjoyable and less stressful, because I remember for myself, I also used to get anxious. What happens if I weigh this patient and they have not lost weight or they've gained weight? And I was constantly doubting myself and recalculating their meal plans and everything, and just not seeing that actually the system is flawed. And so I certainly found the counselling aspect of a non-diet approach far more rewarding and engaging. And ultimately, I didn't train to be a dietitian, to be a policeman. I have a lot of nutrition knowledge, and I like to empower people with skills that they can take on today, and that they shouldn't need to be going from one diet to the next diet to the next dietitian. Certainly there will be times where you might need specialist care when something crops up in terms of your health journey, but I felt you're doing people a disservice by always being a police and being prescriptive, and you're not actually empowering them to trust their own body. And I think a huge aspect for me when I discovered intuitive eating, which is one of many non-diet approaches, is that there's so much more joy and satisfaction with eating. That you can come towards a meal and just have what you feel like, without feeling should I, shouldn't I, can I, can't I, but rather, I feel like that today and that's what I'm going to go for, and then you move on.
I feel like I'm free now, and I can live my life according to, what works best for me and my body. I mean, I always say to people, we can all be following the same eating plan, we can all be doing the same workout, but our bodies and the body shape and our size will still be different. I'm really, really grateful to be in this space and to be on the other side. It can be a little bit frustrating, I think, at times, because just because you're in a space of body positivity, or maybe you are body neutral, it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone else is in that space. So sometimes you are unfortunately still exposed to things like, the talks, like the language around diet culture and all these things, because you can pick up all these nuances when you are sitting in certain conversations, or these diet ads will pop up when you log into or onto Instagram. But yeah, I'm just very grateful that I've discovered this movement, and that I'm living free now and no longer influenced by diet culture.